Hello, everyone. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We are about to start. So if you want, please leave in the chat where you're from and from where you're watching us, so we get to know you better. We are so glad to have you all here. We have Arnie Abramson with us today, talking about Texas tax sales, why now and how. Also, please feel free to use the chat box and Q&A box to ask Arnie all the questions that you may have during the presentation, so he's able to answer them as soon as possible. So thank you again. Oops, sorry. Okay, so we are Real Estate IQ. Your deal is our mission. And we are deal maker and dream maker, and we provide the best real estate solutions committed to help one more person to win. So make your deals come true. So this is a streamline your deal making process. So these are the solutions that we provide. So we offer off-market leads. We provide daily updated lists Monday to Friday of motivated sellers to contact. Get the freshest data mined straight from the card houses. We also offer EVA CMA, run real estate comps in seconds with our renewed CMA. You can check each property's data, select the ones to compare, and get reports instantly. We also offer custom leads mining. So if you're looking for specific area leads, look no further. We now provide custom off-market data mining all over 50 states. And we also offer you virtual assistants. So one solution for administrative tasks, customer service, and technical support to grow your business. So let's walk together toward your success. If you're looking for more, please try our exclusive membership. These are our social media accounts where you can follow us as well. We are in Instagram, in Facebook, in LinkedIn, and in YouTube. And you can use the QR code that appears below of each icon, so you can join us in our community. And you can also use the QR code that appears on the right side of the screen, so you can join us in our newsletter, so you don't miss any of our weekly webinars and in-person events. We also offer you a one-on-one consultation, a free 30-minute in-depth consultation of Real Estate IQ services with one of our experts. Feel free to schedule it now by scanning the QR code that appears on the screen, and also by answering the poll that should appear on your screen as well. This is a very short video of what we do at Real Estate IQ. Okay, so Arnie, we are moving forward with you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. So someone is asking if this webinar is interactive, and yes, it is. So feel free to ask all your questions and use this Q&A box to ask Arnie and us all the things that you want us to answer you. Arnie, we can see properly your presentation, so you can start whenever you want to.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you again. So we want to talk today about the opportunities and how. So here we go. Opportunities in this economy? That's kind of a funny question, isn't it? What is the current economic outlook? Anyway, it's so confusing, and we hear all kinds of crazy things every day. A new expert will come along, and one will say, we're going to have rampant inflation, or no, we're going to have recession, maybe deflation. We might even get to a depression or stagflation. So what are we supposed to do? These are uncertain times. And because it's always best to stick to basics with our capital, no matter what, in these times like that, that's what we need to do, is look at those basic necessities. And what are they? Well, food, clothing, shelter. Those are pretty basic, aren't they? Now, let's talk about those. Food, where does it come from? Animals and crops. Where are the animals and crops? They're on real estate. And clothing, where does it come from? Animals on the farms, real estate. Now, I know some of you are going to come up and say, well, there's some synthetic fabrics. And you're right. I'll get to that in a second. But clothing basically is real estate also. Now, shelter, where do we live? Where do we work? Where do we go to school? That's really real estate. So those are the three basics. And I mentioned the synthetic thing. Well, we added one more necessity because we still need to heat our places in the winter. And I don't know where you are, but it's been pretty cold where I am in the last few days. And we have to cool it in the summer. And Texas is a big place. We have to move around. So we added energy. Where does it come from? Comes from in the ground. That's also real estate. So bottom line, real estate is the common denominator. Now, what state has the most? Anybody want to volunteer? I know you're going to probably think I want you to say Texas, but the answer is Alaska. But Alaska is a little different. It's not very available for us. It's not in the continental U.S. It's not too usable if it's under a lot of ice. So the answer is really Texas. Now, Texas is the land, but what else in Texas? Look at this. Isn't that incredible? All the people from all these places who have been moving to Texas. I read somewhere the other day that of all the people who moved in the United States last year, 30% of them went to Texas. Now we're less than, we're 1 out of 50 states. That's 2%. And we got over 10% or 30% of them came to Texas. That's incredible. In addition to that, corporate relocations to Texas are on the rise. And don't just take my word for it. Look at this. Texas was the most popular state for movers for the third consecutive year with U-Haul. And in 2023, more than half of all the one-way U-Haul rentals were slated for Texas. And it's been in the top spot 6 times out of the last 6 or 7 years. There's several reasons why Texas becomes such a hot spot for Americans. First of all, there are no state income taxes, neither state nor local level. And it has become popular for work, with 53 Fortune 500 companies having their corporate headquarters in Texas. 53. Again, more than 10% of the Fortune 500 to a state that's only 2% of the number of states. That's incredible. Probably safe to assume the Texas economy is healthy. Well, plenty of land and 1,100 people a day coming to Texas. So how has all that affected us in Texas? Housing inventories are still low. There's still not enough housing. Huge shortage of building materials. Tremendous shortage of people to work to build the houses. The demographics are creating new buyers. Some of the generations that have come along are now getting to that age level that they're starting to buy houses more and more. It's creating new buyers there. And we still have high gas prices. Sure, they're lower than they were a few months ago, but still compared to what we're used to, They're very high. And at the same time, there are more people working at home and schooling at home. The quality of life improves outside of the big cities. And there are lower prices outside of the big cities. There's a need for larger homes. And if the prices are better outside of the big cities, guess where people are going? There's less competition outside of the big cities also. Any doubt where the best deals for real estate might be? Outside of the big cities. Now, Texas is the place, real estate's the way, and the real estate foreclosures are the how-to. What are the basics of foreclosures? A real estate foreclosure sale for unpaid property taxes from a state government entity. That's a tax foreclosure. Not to be confused with a trustee sale where the property is sold because of unpaid mortgage payments. That's what they call a trustee sale, because the mortgage companies, when they do a foreclosure sale, they hire a trustee to conduct the sale for them. So those are the two major ones, the property tax foreclosures and the trustee sales. Now, there are two types of tax sale states. Some states are a tax lien state. The taxes owed are a tax lien, and that's what they sell at those auctions. The lien is sold, and the buyer of the lien now owns it. So they owe the back taxes to that person who bought that lien, plus the interest. And if they fail to make the payments, they can foreclose. Now, in a tax deed state, it's the property that is sold, not the lien. The lien is the opening bid price at the auction, because that way, if somebody buys the property at the minimum bid, it pays off the lien. So the foreclosed property owner now receives a deed and has full ownership rights. It's sort of like the difference between buying a bond or buying a stock. When you're buying a bond, it's debt, as tax liens are. And when you're buying a stock, it's equity, as tax deeds are. Now, Texas is a tax deed state, so we don't have to know about those tax lien rules. And tax liens are not issued nor sold in Texas. The bidding starts with the taxes that is owed, the amount of the lien, and full ownership and rights are sold to the highest bidder. That's the tax deed. In Texas, if a real property owner doesn't pay the taxes, the county or any one of the taxing entities, the city, the school district, any one of them can file the lawsuit to collect those unpaid taxes. And then a judgment is rendered, and the owner of the property is given the opportunity to pay the taxes owed before it goes to the auction. If he doesn't, then it goes to the auction. The property will be held by the taxing entity and sold at the auction. The old owner has no rights except the right to redeem the property. Now, redemption is a funny word, not even counting biblical views. In a tax lien state, it means that they just pay off that loan. They pay off the loan and the interest owed, and that's redeemed. And you'll hear all the gurus in the tax lien states talk about 90% of them get redeemed. Well, they do. 90% of them don't want to lose their home over the taxes they owe. And about that lien. However, in a tax deed state, it's entirely different. Redemption means that the property was sold and the old owner has the right to buy it back. But if he buys it back, he has to pay us what we paid for it at the auction, plus a penalty fee. Only a few of the tax deed states have redemption rights. About half the states are tax lien states, about half are tax deed states, and of the 20-something that are the tax deed states, only 6 or 7 of them have this right of redemption. Texas does. And if they redeem it in Texas, they have to pay us back what we paid for the property at the auction, plus 25% if it's in the first year. And that's not prorated. it's a penalty fee. It's not an interest rate. That means that if they pay us back 2 days after we bought it, they still have to pay us the full 25%. And as you can imagine, 25% is the highest redemption rate of all the states. It could, in addition to what you paid for it at the auction plus 25%, while you owned it, if you did some repair and upkeep costs that you can prove were to maintain, preserve, and safekeep the property, they'd have to pay us back for that too, plus the 25%. So to maintain, preserve, and safekeep the property, that means that it's not to cosmetically improve it, not to take the countertop that was for mica, it was for mica and turn it into granite. That's not to maintain, preserve, and safekeep the property. But if there's a hole in the roof, that's certainly to safekeep the property and things like that. And if it's redeemed in the second year, it's 50% because it's 25% for if it's redeemed in the first year and 50% in the second year. Now, that kind of begs the question, how long is the redemption period, right? Well, it depends. How's that for a legal answer? It's 180 days unless it has some exemptions. An exemption, a homestead exemption, or an agricultural exemption, or if it is a mineral right that's been separated from the property itself. In any one of these cases, the redemption right is 2 years. Otherwise, it's always 6 months or 180 days. Now, Texas also has 254 counties, more than any other state. And in a typical tax sale day, there'll be 40 to 90 counties that hold an auction. Obviously, some of the counties are so small, they wouldn't have a lot of eviction type things, foreclosures going on because there's just not enough people there. Some of these counties may not have as many people in them as we have on this call. Who knows? But typically between 40 and 90, not the same ones every time, but at some point, and there will be between 1,000 and 2,000 properties for sale. Now in Texas, when you buy it at the auction, you get immediate possession. I bring this up because Georgia, for example, has a 20% redemption right. And you get immediate ownership, but you have to wait a year and apply for possession. So that's a big difference. In Texas, you get immediate possession and immediate entitlement to the rent. When you buy a property at the tax sale here, it wipes out the non-governmental liens, wipes them out, extinguishes them. A mortgage, for example, is not a government lien. Watch what happens. Gone. Now, the fundamentals in Texas, remember we talked about fundamentals are so important in times like these. So what are these fundamentals? We have a high population growth. We already covered that. 20% of the people who moved last year came to Texas. Increased demand for housing. Statewide shortage of housing. Even before COVID, all this was there. No personal state income tax. Employment opportunities, yes. Big shortage of workers. Plenty of land. More land than any other state except Alaska. We already covered that. And diversity. That was the thing that was very surprising. They did this big study on how diverse was each state. And California was the most diverse. But it was a shocker that Texas was number 2. Amazing and really great because look at all the different cultures that we have now and different foods and things like that. It's just exciting. All of that, even before COVID. And of course, afterwards, it's continued. Even more so because of the increased migration to Texas that we talked about with the 20%. Now, we know Texas tax sales, but where in Texas? It's so big. Where do we go to find the deals? Look at all these different counties, 254 of them. Well, maybe in what is called the Texas Triangle. A lot of people talk about that. Look, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, all in there, Waco, even some of the others. Well, that's very interesting because that's 2/3 of the population of Texas is in that triangle. And the 5 biggest cities that have tax sales every month, Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and Fort Worth, those 5 cities, every month they're going to have a tax sale. And that whole triangle, like I said, there are more properties. That's why. That's where most people are going, because there are more properties in that triangle, in those big cities. There are more properties. That's why there are more foreclosures. There are more auctions, more everything, including more competition. Now, do we want more competition when we're trying to buy properties? No, of course not. So, who is the major competition? Well, some of the counties are online. Dallas County is online. Harris County, which is Houston, is not. Fort Worth is not in Tarrant County. But some are online. And if it's online, the competition is the whole world. Because anybody can go online and bid. But what about the ones that are not online? That you have to be there in person. Then the competition are the hedge funds, the mutual funds, the real estate investment trusts, and all of those big money people, but they have to have somebody going to the sale. Now, there's also some competition from a source that nobody else really talks about. And I'm going to give you a picture of it. See if you can guess what it is. Well, it looks like somebody is washing or laundering some money, doesn't it? Well, it's even legal in some cases. Let's suppose you live in Colorado and you're growing marijuana, and that's legal there. But if you take all your profits and go to the bank, it's not so legal. The bank won't let you deposit it. So what do? You drive to Texas with all your cash, you bid on a property, you win the bid, you give it to the sheriff, he gives you a deed, no questions asked, legally laundered. They may not care what they pay for it, because it's very hard to use it anywhere else in quantities, isn't it? That's real competition. Now, 2/3, as I mentioned before, of the Texas population is in the Texas Triangle. That means 1/3 is not. Well, if there's 30 million people in Texas, 1/3 means 10 million people not in the triangle. And if those 10 million people were a state of its own, it'd be the 10th largest state. Think that's enough supply for us to go to and not have to go to the big cities all the time? Plus, there are smaller populations, smaller towns inside the triangle. The bottom line, go where there is less competition. Where is the least competition? In the smaller communities. You think they're growing? You tell me. You be the judge. Here's an example. Forney, Texas, year 2000, 5,700 people. Almost tripled. Then almost, 1.5. Then in the last 2 years, look at that, 4,000 people. And look, Winston, Texas. Look what they did. They doubled, then they tripled. And look at that, the last 2 years. Anna, 5 or 6 times, tripled. No, that's doubled, I'm sorry, in the last few years, couple of years. And Hutto That's not far from Austin. Look at that. 10 times growth from 2000 to 2010. Then they doubled in the next 10 years. And in the last 2 years, wow. And Melissa, same thing. Look at this. Doubled in the last 2 years. No, not doubled. Okay, 60, 70%. And then there's fate. 10 times from 2000 to 2010. Then they tripled. And in the last 2 years, 50% increase. You tell me, are the small communities growing? So let's recap. 254 counties in Texas have an auction every month. 40 to 90 counties every month. Resale opportunities. Sometimes we're able to get to the people before the sale and buy it, where you can do inspections of the house, you can negotiate all kinds of things. That's part of our program. And the resale opportunities. The resales are the ones that in past auctions no one bid on, and they've marked them down and offer them again. Sometimes those are real deals. And the redemption penalties are the highest of all the states. And the amount is on the cost plus those other things you did to the house to maintain, preserve, and safekeep the property. And those words are right out of the tax code. And it's a full interest penalty. It's not prorated. In other words, you buy it on a Tuesday and they redeem it on Thursday, you get the full 25% profit plus your money back. And it's a super priority position. It's ahead of all the other liens except for government liens. And if you see if there are any government liens on there before you buy it, you'll know where you stand. And there's a lot less competition. Sure, there are more people going to the tax sales now than they were 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but nothing like the competition in every other way to buy properties. And it's also the lowest prices purchased. How can I make a statement like that? I'll tell you why. If you've got $50,000 and almost everywhere else, you can go get a mortgage for another 50 or 100, maybe 150, and you can buy a $200,000 property or $150,000 property, but not at the tax sales. The tax sales, there are no mortgages available. So only cash. If you got $50,000, that's the most you can bid. So the prices they're sold at are lower than anywhere else. Now, sounds a little too good to be true. Why isn't everyone doing it? What are the challenges, the gotchas, the hurdles that have to be overcome? Good question. I'm glad you asked. Of course, there are hurdles to overcome. If there weren't, everyone would be doing it. And then that'd probably mean it's no longer worthwhile to do because everybody's doing it. So the fact that most people don't know about it and don't know how to do it is in our favor. That's why we're in the business. We know what to do. We can show you how to do it and how to overcome those hurdles. Picture's worth 1,000 words, isn't it? Now, here are some of the hurdles, some of the questions that people object to, or they don't know about it. They want to know, how can I overcome these? You can't usually inspect the property before you buy it. It's pretty tough to think about. The prices have gone up. They're too high. Well, they've gone up everywhere, especially in Texas. Even at the auctions, the prices have gone up. You have to have the cash the same day. You have to pay for it that day. Your title insurance issues. That means that in most cases, you cannot get a title policy for 2 years after you've had it. And that could cause some delays in selling it. Maybe, maybe not. We know some of the answers and the way around those. All the auctions at the same day. Well, how can you be in 2 places at once? What if You want one in Harris County, another one in Dallas County, or another one in Smith County, or whatever it is. How can you be there? You'll run out of family members pretty soon. Too much competition. Well, what's too much? Who else is competing? There is more, but not like it everywhere else. And how do you find all the listings? There's nobody who puts out the list of the properties available by county. There are people that will do that for the whole country, but they don't give you all the information, and they don't update it every day like we do, because some of them get pulled from the sale because they pay it off. Others get added. They don't all come out at the same time. That's what we're here for. And the best deals may be too far away. You know, if you live in Dallas, you say, well, I just want to be in Dallas. I just want to buy in Dallas. Well, I'm sorry. You may not find the deals there. It may be too far away, and maybe you don't want to go all that way. Well, we have answers to these things. There are ways to do it. You know, somebody once told me that years ago. They said, hey, I want something that's close by, a rent house that I want to have. I said, let me get this straight. You're saying you want all your renters to be neighbors of yours. Is that right? Well, they said, not really. Well, look, you go where the deal is. You don't go by convenience. If everybody did that, it'd be crazy. Now, how and where do you go to learn? If you've got some interest in tax sales in Texas, you probably haven't found anywhere else that can teach you or will teach you, but we will. That's what we're here for. We don't buy for ourselves anymore. We only buy for the people that we are showing how to do it and doing all these services for them. There are too many properties pulled from the sale. Well, yeah, but how do you know what they are unless you have somebody updating it every time so that you know, in the old days, people would go to a property, go to a sale in the county, and they get there and all the properties were sold. Well, why didn't you know about that up front? Well, that's one of the things that we have to have done for us, and we do that. And there are even more of these things. You have the questions, we have answers to them. Now, if we didn't have the answers, we couldn't have had such a year that we had this last year. In 2023, we bought more than 200 properties for our investors at the tax sales last year. More than 200. Think about it. We're expecting more this year for 2024. We have some new and improved things that we will be announcing soon that may even allow us to double those numbers. Maybe even more. That's why there's a great opportunity for you to join us and profit. We need help to preview more properties before the auction, to attend more auctions that are not online, to win the bids at the auctions and claim more properties that we can win than we did before. And we want someone to help us with that and share in the revenue created. Plus, find deals for yourself. Now, well, there's a special program we have. We call it Learn and Earn. If we want to be cute about it, we can say you learn, then remove the L. What do you have? Earn. So, our Learn and Earn program. The learn part, we teach you the system, including all the steps involved in all the tax sale auctions and how to purchase them at the tax sales in Texas. We're going to teach you. And then the earn is, as you learn, as you practice what we've taught you, we market the results and we split the revenue generated. That's how you earn. It's a win-win. Here's how it works. There are fees for several of the services we perform for our members and higher fees for non-members. So we're open to everyone. And we're going to charge them fees to do the research, to go to the auctions, to do all sorts of things. Our members perform them, and we split the fees with our members. If you're a priority member, we split with you 50-50 in cash. But we also have what we call a provisional member who doesn't have to pay as much to become a priority member, and he gets credit towards the priority membership in the same amount as if he were a priority member, and eventually will become one. He can earn it. Very often the members are performing these services they would be doing for themselves anyway. But this way, they get rewarded, whether it results in winning the bid or not. Now, how good a deal is that? Right now, without this, you go to an auction, you don't win the bid. You've spent money, you got nothing out of it. But this, we're going to get paid and pay you to go to the auction whether we win or not. If we win, of course, it's a much bigger payday. So that's how it works. And if you're going to do it anyway, why not do that too? Lanya, anybody in New Orleans knows that just means a little something extra. Coming soon for our members only, we're going to have some financing available, including money to bid with. Now, how good is that? And we have already started expanding our staff to make it easier for you to do what we want to do. And we're putting together all of the classes of every step, everything to do with tax sales, and calling in our Foreclosure Academy, which will not only include the tax sales, but the trustee sales as well. And we have now established area coordinators to provide more one-on-one interactions. I can't be one-on-one with everybody, but we will have people in your geographic area that will be able to more. You still can get with any of us, but this will be day to day if you need it. And we're expanding our markets to include the trustee sales now. A few other things also to be announced a little later in the year. Okay, now we invite you to join us. The choice is yours. You can learn about everything on your own and do it yourself. I don't know where you're going to do it, but you could. And you can also buy retail some of our services and not become a member. We have classes and services that we'll be happy to go to the auction for you, and we'll charge you more than we will for our members. Or you can join us and become a member. The real benefits of our experiences and services are reserved for our members, because we have some things we do, we don't want to overeducate our potential competitors, only our members. 2 ways to become a priority member. Number 1, invest in a one-time membership fee at $7,500, or invest in the training fee of $900 to become a provisional learn and earner, and you can earn the balance by learning and doing the things and become a priority member that way. A special offer for you today. If you sign up in the next 24 hours, you'll get a $100 discount off of the $900, or a $500 discount off of the priority membership if you wish. So, you got to contact me no later than tomorrow, though. Here's my contact info. So, if you just want to contact me to ask questions, that's okay too. I love questions. All right. Any questions so far? Some of you may be typing them in, so we'll wait a little bit.
Arnie, are you able to see the chat? Because I am seeing some questions.
I don't see them yet.
Okay.
Let me see.
Let me know if you're.
No. I don't see anything yet.
I can read them out loud if not.
Do I need to click on something or what?
Not, you can press on the bar that
Go
says
ahead.
Chat. If not, I can read them out loud. Alex,
Okay, what
so
box should I be
there is a
clicking?
bar on Zoom. I don't know if you're able to see it. If not, I'm able to read them out loud if you prefer.
Well, I'm clicking on everything I
No
see.
worries. So Alex
Decide.
is saying, I'm in Harris County. Did you say 50K is the max bid price at the auction? And how do you solve for the title insurance issues? Are there alternative exit strategies?
Okay, that's more than one question. Let's take it one piece at a time. The first was, what was the question about 50,000?
Did you say 50K is the max bid price at the auction?
No, I said that as an example. The maximum price is whatever you decide the maximum bid that you will make. What they publish is the minimum bid where the bidding starts. And it's usually not that high. It might be, it's just usually what the taxes owed are, is the minimum bid. When we talk about the maximum bid, it's whatever the highest bid is that wins the auction bid. And what was the second part?
Then he says, how do you solve for the title insurance issues?
How do we handle that? Well, it's there's not a short answer for that. Sometimes we can get a title policy within 2 years. Many of the companies want 2 years before they'll do it. It doesn't mean you can't sell it. You can sell it without a title policy. It's just most people don't want to buy it without a title policy. Now, what does the title policy do? It guarantees you that you have good, you have the right to it. Now, before we bid on a property, we inspect it and we do the research to find out if there are any government liens on it. If there are no government liens, that means that all the non-government liens get wiped out. So you really don't need a title policy. But a lot of people don't understand that and they won't buy it. But we will. We have investors. If you buy it at an auction and you want to sell it, we have people who will buy it without the title policy.
Also, he asked if there are alternative exit strategies.
Alternative bid strategies?
Exit strategies.
Exit strategies?
Yes.
What do you mean? Of course, it's like anything else. You can buy and hold it and rent it out. You can sell it. You can either hold it or sell it. What other strategies are there? You can own or finance it. Yeah.
Okay. Also, Renata is asking, how do you actually make money when you're essentially buying properties?
Well, you buy a property at one price and sell it for a higher price. That's how you make money. Alternatively, while you're owning it, if you want to rent it out, that's how you make money.
Sanjay, I guess you want to speak. You're able to speak out loud if you want to. If not,
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Quick question. So, I have a full-time job and I work from home. But I can spend few hours a week learning the program. And I'm completely beginner in the real estate space. Is this kind of program for me for a complete
Sanjay,
beginner?
do you live in Texas?
Yes, I live in Louisville.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Most of our people in the provisional program live in Texas and working or do this part-time. Usually it's
okay.
maybe 2 days a month is the minimum that, one is to go and preview some properties and earn some credit or money that way. And the other is to go to the auction. And you don't have to do any of them. You can pick and choose. There are no requirements that we're going to say, if you're in our program, you have to do this. It's all up to you. We are there for you to do it, but we understand this is part-time. It's not something that we are going to say, oh, you have to do this or you have to do that. It's up to you, but we're
Right.
here to
Yeah.
help you do it.
Yeah. I'm working from home right now, and I
Ah,
can spend an hour or a couple of hours depending on the day, and I can spend 3 to 4 hours a week.
yes. Just give
So
me
I
a
thought,
call. Just give me a call afterwards and I can answer those, give you in detail. That's a great question. And we have several people in the Metroplex that doing exactly what you're saying.
oh, okay, sounds good. And is there a monthly membership fee or
No,
the 7,500? Is that a one-time?
yes, the 7,500 is a one-time lifetime membership fee, and the 900 as you earn it towards that. Once you get there, that's it too. Now you have to pay for services, but you get the big discounts on the services, and that's what generates the income. And
Oh, okay.
but there are no more membership fees. That's just just initial. That's it.
Oh,
And
okay.
and the reason that it's so much difference, by the way, there's some deals that come up that in some services and a lot of things that we only offer to our members because we don't want to educate our competition.
Right. All right. Got you. And one more question is, what is the difference between this and investing in mortgage notes?
What is the difference between what?
The tax sales and investing in mortgage notes.
Well, if you're buying the property, it's a tax sale. You're the owner of the property, and the other is you're buying paper. You're buying notes. I mean, it's
okay.
it's a different ballgame, and they go together.
Right. So,
Yeah.
which is the less riskier?
That's a matter of opinion, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like sometimes people say, what's the average price you pay? I mean, there's no such thing as an average because, look, at a tax sale, we're looking at houses, we're looking at vacant lots, we're looking at 60 acres, we're looking at buildings that are commercial, and then some are pristine condition, others need a lot of repair, so there's no such thing as an average. And I think the same thing is true in notes. I mean, there's so many variations on the notes. So it's difficult to label those.
Right. Yeah. I'm exploring ways to put my money to work with very little amount. Start with very little amount until I understand the process. And I came to know about these terminology: tax sales, tax deeds, mortgage notes, and all. I'm still in the very early stages of learning what they are. And this
Well, give me
webinar
a
is very
call and
helpful.
I'll be happy to answer all the questions that you may
Sure.
have. I'll be happy to.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Namaste. Anybody else?
Okay, Arnie, so we have other questions. So Ariana is asking for clarification of option 2 of the priority membership for Learn and Earn works that we pay 900 and then we earn until the 7,500 is paid in full.
Correct. Yeah. In other words, we want you eventually to get to a priority membership. And some people, and especially out-of-state people who are not going to be in our Learn and Earn program because they're not here. So that's for them. But for our people in Texas, and honestly, I would do it this way. I would go for the provisional because, look, if you pay $7,500 and you see everything he said is great, but it's a lot of work and I don't want to do it or I don't like this, then you put money out that you shouldn't have. So this gives you an opportunity for a lot less money to learn the same thing. And as you're learning, you're earning towards that 7,500. And eventually you'll get there. And if you find after a little while that, hey, I really like this and I want to do it, you can always pay the difference, whatever it is then, and become a priority member. But honestly, I put this in there because that's the way I would want to do. You know, you don't know me. You don't know if everything I'm telling you is the way I've shown it. I mean, I know it, but you want proof. You want to see. So try it yourself and see, and see how it fits you and how you fit it. I think that's the way I would urge
Perfect.
people to try.
Thank you. Also, Alex is asking if you can outline the benefits and costs of the program again.
What the two numbers, 7,500 and the 900. I think we just did that. The benefits. Well, I guess what you're asking is, what do you learn? Well, basically, what you learn is all the steps involved. Number one is finding which properties are for sale and doing the research on the properties, and how do we decide which ones we need to look at visually, because somebody had better go look at the property, because you cannot rely on Google for that picture. That picture may be 6 years old. I can't tell you how many calls I've had from people in the past that said, I bought this property at the tax sale and I went to look at the house. There was no house left. And I said, well, didn't you go look at it? No, I just saw the Google picture. Well, the picture was 6 years old. House has been demolished. So we're not going to bid on a property unless someone has seen it. Well, you may not want to be the one to go out and look at all of them. That's why we have our people in the program. We will go out, not only look at the property, but take pictures for you and look at the surroundings. What's the neighborhood like? What kind of road leading to it? All sorts of things. We have a whole program for that. And that's just step one. Step two is going to the auction. That's involving a lot of things too, because some of the auctions are in the morning, some are in the afternoon. Some require that you get a certification from that county that you don't owe back taxes there. There are all sorts of things you have to go through. And that's what that second class is. And what do you do? The third place is, what do you do after you win the bid? Now what? You've got people in the house, you know, so that's what the three main things that are in the Learn and Earn program is. Before the property, you know, just to decide which property it is, the previewing of it. And then the second step is the auction itself. And the third step is after the auction. So I hope that was answering the question you were asking.
Thank you. Also, Michael is asking if are we able to do the provisional membership from another state? So he's in Florida. And
Well,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. And what are some of the services outside of the provisional available to members before we get to full membership? Also, once a full member, are all services included? Okay,
let's go to the first part of the question. If you're outside of Texas, and we've had people do that, and there are basically three choices. Number one, you can just be a provisional member and just order us to buy properties for you like we would if you were a priority member, but you pay a little higher commission if you were not a priority and you were provisional. It still would be less than if you were no member at all. So that's one answer. The second is I had a guy from Tennessee a couple of years ago. He says, I want to be a priority member, a provisional. And he drove down here and spent a week or 10 days here and went and previewed properties for us, went to the auction, did all that stuff and earned it. And he actually did it that way. And let's see, the third way is in some cases, we might have some things you can do from Florida or wherever it is you leave, you know, some research that we can have you do and earn it that way. So make some calls to do some other things. It's possible. It's just, it's not the norm. So what was the second part of the question?
And the other question was, what are some of the services outside of the provisional available to members before we get to full membership? Also, once a full member, are all services included?
Are all services what?
Included.
Oh, yeah, all the services are included no matter what kind of a member you are.
Okay.
And that includes calling me, calling any of our staff and one-on-one. You know, we want to always be in a position where you can pick up the phone and call us. And because in this arena, there are almost no short answers.
Okay.
And so we can't just say, you know, in fact, I prefer it on a phone rather than an email. You can set up an appointment or a call, or email, but I'm not kidding. There are so many little nuances that you just can't make an accurate short answer.
Thank you. Ariana is asking, how long does it usually take to move from provisional to priority? Is there
I've had
an
it. I'm
of-
sorry.
Sorry, is there an estimate of how much money is earned per earning opportunity?
Well, let's go to the first part again. It's all over the board. I've had people do it in 1 month. They went to an auction and they previewed some properties, and they went to an auction, and it happened to be an auction where we bought a lot of properties, and they earned a lot and did it in 1 month. Others have taken 2 years. Some have taken 2 months, 3 months. It depends on how much you want to put into it. You know, it can be anything, but you don't ever lose your opportunity. You know, it's always there. We had people who did so much before COVID, and then they didn't do anything for 2 or 3 years, and now they came back, and they're now on their way or have already become priority members. So it's open. It's up to you. Now, the second part of the question again.
The second part of the question was, is there an estimate of how much money is earned per earning opportunity?
I don't understand that question. I mean,
Ariana, if you can rewrite it.
yeah, I mean, what you mean? How much money can you make? By doing what? By buying the property, or just being in the position of going to the sale and being the person who bids for it? I don't know. You have to be more specific with that question. As I said, there are no short answers. So
In the meantime, Ariana said, how much can you make by attending the auctions and bidding?
and what was the last thing? And what? And
How
bidding?
can you make by attending the auctions and bidding with a provisional membership?
You said you mean bidding as a provisional member. Well, it depends. I mean, there's sometimes you make a little bit, sometimes a lot. I mean, it depends on a lot. It depends on how much you bid. It depends on the type of property. I mean, we have a whole schedule of things. Now, last month, for example, or in December was a big month. We had several of our part-time provisional people get credit for 3,000 or 4,000, or one even 5,000. But you know, that's not going to happen every month, and it's not going to happen every auction. It kind of depends. Some auctions have 3 properties, some have 30. So it's all over the place. There are no averages that you can really say, but you always will get something as a provisional or as a priority, because we're going to see that you're at least going to cover all your costs. Even if you go to an auction and don't win any bid, you still get some mileage, and you get a minimum for having done that. So again, it's just impossible to put numbers on it. It could be all over the place.
Sanjay is asking, are there any licensing requirements to be part of the program, or later? Are there any capital requirements?
No, There are no licensing requirements. Before we put you into our program, you'll have to attend our classes, but we don't say, well, you didn't pass the test, you can't do it. We don't do that. If we have a test on it, and sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, we're going to keep at it until you feel comfortable enough. And by the way, our training is not just classroom training on Zoom, it's also field training with our other members. So we're not going to just send you out on your own. We're going to have someone go with you and show you how to do it. And even if you're just watching, you get credit as if it's by yourself. Because it's a learn and earn.
Michael asks, what are your financing guidelines?
Well, nowhere else is there any financing on tax sales. So ours is very unique, and it's still being developed. And I'm sure that the lenders, it's taken me 10 years to find private lenders that would do this, because legal, regular lien lenders can't do it because they have to have a title policy. So we've put together a group, and we're still negotiating on that. I'm sure that the interest rates, if that's what you're asking about, I'm sure they're going to be along hard money lines. Probably my guess would be around 1% a month, but we'll be able to do the pro forma so you can see going in whether it's going to be worthwhile or not to do. It's very unusual. A lot of our investors don't need the money, they need the leverage. And there's a big difference. And that's almost a class in itself. But with the leverage, you can bid more without sacrificing cash flow. And that's the idea. But as you can guess, that's a statement that needs some explanation. It's not something you can just throw out. But I'll be happy to talk to you about it if you want to call.
He also asked, does your company ever use lender funds, i.e. working capital loans, etc.?
I'm not sure. Are you meaning to buy into the membership? Or are you asking if you can finance it? Or are you talking about once you're buying the property, what I just covered about having some of the lenders?
No, for financing purposes.
In other words, buying the property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, that's what I just covered. We have some of that in the works, and some of it right now. Yes, we do have some available. And something else, by the way, that is still not ready for publication, but off the record, we are going to have some special programs put together for some of our investors who are in our program that may not have enough funds to go buy a property for all cash like that. And we'll put together an LLC or something for them to band together and buy some stuff as a group. We've done that in the past, and it's been very worthwhile. And that's on the drawing board, about to happen also.
He says that you did cover it, and he's a lender, and that's why he's asking. And he also asked in the Q&A box, how long does it typically take to become a PM from provisional?
Well, as I said, some people have done it in a month or two, and others in a couple of years. And it's in between. But if she wants to talk about lending, please give me a call. I'll be happy to discuss it with you. It's great. We love lenders.
And do you have offices in other states like Florida, or plan to in the future with the addition of different types of auctions?
Are you asking if we're going to go to other states to do similar things? Is that the question?
Yes.
No. We've done that in the past. We've gone to other states, and we'll never do it again.
Okay. Uh,
Well,
sorry.
here, look, half the states are tax lien states, and that's a whole different thing completely. And of all the tax deed states, there are only a few that really have great, potential. But Texas has got it all over the rest of them, and we've got 30 million people, and we don't need any more. Why would we do that?
Alex also asked before, can you talk about providing capital for bidding? What are borrowing fees and max loan amount?
Well, that's information that's kind of proprietary. We can only give you the kind of information as a member. We don't want to give this information to the general public to have other people come in and try to copy us, our competitors. But I kind of touched on it earlier if you were listening to some of the other areas.
Okay, and Sanjay says, do you do only tax deeds or other areas like probate, wholesaling, etc.?
Well, we do the mortgage foreclosures also in some counties.
Wintana says, how do you search the property title without title company?
Well, we know how to do it. We know what the title companies do, and we do it ourselves. Now, you can pay a title company to do it, but they'll charge you a lot more. If we do it, we just know how to do it. Let's put it that way. It's not hard to. It's a little tricky, but you can go and look and see what kind of liens are on there. That's what you want to know.
Robin says, so we will come to you. I do have my sights on Texas.
Great. Look forward to hearing from you. And I think, was my phone number up there? I prefer phone calls to text because, as I say, there are no short answers. But if you want to use the text to set up a phone call, that's great.
And Alex asked, can you bid on a property as an LLC?
Yes.
Cool. Does anyone else have more questions? You must be thirsty, Arnie.
Oh, no, I've got my little coffee right here.
Michael says, thank you, great presentation. You were very through and easy to listen to. I will be in contact.
Well, thank you so much.
Share a poll that maybe help you, Arnie, that it's feedback. So we know if people liked the topic, and we also know what other topic would people be interested in seeing more.
Well,
And
thank you.
And you.
Let me make a suggestion.
Yeah.
You've asked me before to come back and keep doing them. We can do similar presentations in the future, or if you would like to concentrate on just one area of it, that's available too.
Cool.
And we can discuss that, but your audience better than that. So be happy to consider that.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. I don't know if anyone else have more.
For example, there's a whole class you could do just on explaining the redemption, and there are things like that. So it's a shorter class, but there are a lot of nuances to a lot of the things on here. And that's why it's so hard to find people to explain how it works in Texas, because I got to tell you how many nights I fell asleep reading the tax code until finally I did it so much that I was able to stay awake and eventually figured it out. So it's tough.
I will share your email address if you don't mind, Arnie. It's Arnie at txtaxsales.com, right? Can I share it?
Correct.
Perfect. Because people is asking.
Yeah, if they don't want to figure out how to spell Arnie, you can just put info@txtaxsales.com and
Cool.
get to me also, INFO.
Perfect. That it's cool too. Thank you everyone for participating, and thank you, Arnie, for this amazing webinar. It's always a pleasure to have you with us.
Well, thank you, and it's a nice association. I hope
In
we'll get
future
together.
I hope you have a wonderful day. If no one has more questions, I guess we are done for today.
Thank you, and thank all of you.
Have a wonderful day and rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Bye.